In an ongoing Contact 13 investigation as search warrants are served at multiple locations. Contact 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears has been shining a spotlight on guardianship exploitation for nearly a year now. Law enforcement is now taking an unprecedented step.
April, it's Darcy Spears from Channel 13. Would you please come out and talk to me?
As of Monday morning,
I know you're in there. Why are you avoiding us?
private guardian April Parks can no longer avoid accountability over allegations of double dipping, misspent money, and abuse of power.
Police served search warrants here at Parks' home in Boulder City and also at her office on St. Rose Parkway. The law enforcement activity, spearheaded by the Attorney General's office, comes about 5 months after Contact 13 first exposed allegations against Parks for exploiting her wards.
Rudy and Rennie North, Mrs. Elizabeth Indig, Phyllis Moscowitz-Crowe. They're just a few of the more than 100 people who were made wards of the court with Parks as their guardian. Now, police are looking at what Parks did with their money and assets. Investigators from the Nevada Attorney General, Metro, and Boulder City Police carted out boxes of documents from Parks' office and spoke to her at her home. She spoke to us back in May to address concerns raised by wards and their families.
When I get to that age and somebody tries to put me under a guardianship, I'm probably going to come out kicking and screaming too.
Ever since that interview, Parks has refused to talk.
You can't hide forever.
The joint law enforcement investigation is the first of its kind, and according to affected families, it's long overdue.
When criminal activity is identified in the family court, historically here in Clark County, that's been ignored when it pertains to the private guardians and their lawyers.
But with the service of Monday's warrants, that could be changing. Law enforcement's focus on Parks began in June when Boulder City Police began investigating the disappearance of 8 of Parks' wards. She'd moved them without notice from Lakeview Terrace in Boulder City, leaving a trail of unpaid bills behind. Contact 13 also caught Parks double dipping into the bank accounts of Rudy and Rennie North.
As a responsible steward of their money, you're in charge of every dime these people have in this world.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it acceptable to be consistently making those mistakes with someone else's money?
No, it's not.
And I just crocheted.
Just last week, we told the story of Phyllis Moscowitz-Crowe, who was left destitute and almost lost her home after Parks became her guardian.
She is so evil and so vicious, even the devil wouldn't have her in his zone.
Elizabeth Indig's mother did lose her home after Parks let it slip into foreclosure. It was sold for pennies on the dollar, and then Parks sold most of Mrs. Indig's clothing and belongings.
My mom is now sentenced to a life in a nursing home when we had a trust and we had made plans to keep her in her own home with all of her things until she died.
We've asked the court what will become of all the people Parks has guardianship over now that police have seized her files, paperwork, and computer equipment. We're still waiting on a response, and we, of course, will stay on top of this story as it develops. In the studio, Darcy Spears, Channel 13 Action News.